Okay, we're waiting on a few more people and then we shall begin. I'm going to look at a very psychic thing, and I've been asked this during readings before, private session, about looking at dreams and, what do they mean? Does every dream mean something? What are the aspects of looking at a dream and interpreting whatever it's trying to tell you correctly. And, sometimes dreams deal with psychological anomalies, let's say. And, you're looking in the dream, in your subconscious, in that state to try to heal or correct or balance something that's happening when you're awake. So, a lot of times, dreams are in that vein. Um, let's just take a look at what we can see. I also want to hear about your dreams, and then I'll give examples of how I would interpret that particular dream if that came up in a reading or if it happened to me, and how I would look at that and deduce, what the what the wealth of information is for that particular dream. Um, All right, so let's take a look at any questions you guys might have. I need to have you come in here and send me a request if you want to tell me about your dream or dreams, and you have no idea what they meant, but they came in and you're still bothered by what the hell did that mean. So send me a request to speak and I will put you on and we'll talk about your dream. Um, in my case, what I've seen is dreams usually address certain things that certain things that I am worried about during the day and that I don't allow myself to actually, look at or contemplate or deal with during the day. So that's what some of those dreams mean. But usually when I'm in a dream state where I'm remembering the dream and it's so detailed, it's because those details will directly impact my perception of something that's coming up on the future timeline, usually very soon. Um, Michelle, are you there? Hey. So
Mhm.
I wanted to talk about this because I get so many questions about dream interpretation. I do a lot of that during the reads, and people want to know, what did that dream particularly mean? And even when I dream, not every single thing is like a dream about, oh, that's going to happen.
Mhm.
But usually, if it's in great detail, it means that I need to look at what the detail was. Like, for instance, the dream I had the other day when I was mentioning on, I think it was Saturday morning. Um, and I mentioned that I could see like how many rooms were in this place that I was supposedly moving to, like a new place. And I could see the rooms and I could see, the fact that there were certain things that needed repair, like the window screens. But overall, I loved it. And I loved, like, what I looked at was the window screens needing repair. That was me looking at things like pick your battles, pick which things are super important to me and which ones I don't care about. Sometimes you have to do repairs on something new on your timeline, whether it be a relationship or something that's coming up and you're scared of like those things that you need to fix. And the thing is, one of the reasons that mistakes or repairs or something that's not quite perfect comes up is so that you're not so afraid of it, and sometimes your fear takes over if it is moving to a new place or being in a new relationship or having like a new set of circumstances present on your timeline. And it's meant to show you, that's a really tiny thing that you need to take care of, but it's not a big deal. So sometimes the interpretation of the dream is that these things that need fixing in the dream aren't problems, they're not obstacles, they're basically things that make you feel comfortable with going to the new thing, whatever it is. So what's your dream, Michelle?
I used to dream a lot about I'd be having a conversation and then all of a sudden my teeth started falling out and I'm like, what the heck is that about? And that happened
Oh my
quite a few
god.
times.
No,
Weird.
I and did the dream stop or is it still ongoing?
No, it stopped, but that was one of the dreams that always with me. I always wanted to know what that meant, that I was losing my teeth.
Usually, okay. Usually when your teeth are falling out, that means that anything that you're holding on to stress or, something that you were stressing out about where you were clenching your jaw and your teeth were falling out means that, you needed to let go of trying to control
Mm,
what was coming.
makes
Okay.
sense.
Usually teeth are associated with control.
Okay.
And, it's if you're in a conversation and your teeth are falling out, that means you had no control over the information that was coming out,
Wow.
or you had no control over the other person saying something to you because your teeth fell out and that became more of a priority than your words.
Hmm.
So usually if you have a dream about your teeth and there's something wrong with your teeth or your teeth need repair
Hmm.
or they're falling out or you're actually experiencing that and you're visiting the dentist like,
Hmm.
you know, multiple times, it's because you've allowed you've allowed yourself to become complacent about something that you needed to speak up about.
Wow. Makes sense.
So if you're not having that dream anymore, that means that you spoke up.
I must have resolved it.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's about control and noticing that, okay, if my teeth are falling out, that means that I don't feel I have the grit or the strength or the perseverance or the know-how
Hmm.
to to get over whatever obstacle is in my path. So therefore my teeth are falling out and I become a victim of whatever it is I think I'm speaking
Wow,
about.
that's so interesting.
Look at the people that were in your dream that you were talking to.
I don't even remember. It was a while
Remember,
ago.
make yourself remember
Hmm.
that. The one thing that I've noticed is if you go to sleep at night and you you should not eat right before you go to bed.
Right. Hmm.
Okay, that's number one. Um, because then your dreams aren't going to make any sense, and uh, it usually causes like miscommunication and whatever because your body is trying to digest
Yeah,
food.
well, I never do that anyway. It's not a good habit.
Well, and your body is not in a
Hmm.
position where you're laying prone and it's not in a position to digest food.
No.
But I noticed that, I have been drinking like my water
Mhm.
at night right before I go to bed. And people are so afraid to do that because, oh my God, should you have to get up in the middle of
To
the
go
night
pee.
and have to go? I mean, come on. Like, if it's that hard, then you should not be human. So, I mean, I have so many, especially women complaining to me, "Oh, well, I never drink my water at night, because God forbid." And the thing is that I notice that it helps me dream,
Mm,
and water is a cleanser,
right.
and it washes away a lot of the negative whatever I'm reading about during the day.
Oh, then I should
So
drink
I
a gallon
noticed that
of it.
right. So I drink, my water with something called it's a citrus extract that I take in the morning.
Mhm.
And then I don't drink water again until right before I go to sleep.
Wow.
And I noticed that, I can pretty much time it. So I don't have a clock in my bedroom. So I don't have any electronics in my bedroom at all.
Wow.
My phone is out here in this room, and if I have a reading early or I have to read somebody overseas, I set the alarm and then I wake
Mhm.
up because I can hear the music in the other room. But um, I noticed that I sleep so much better with no electronics and drinking my water right before I go to bed, and stop worrying about whether you have to pee or not. First of all, your bladder will thank you for that because that's actually good to cleanse your bladder during the night.
Mhm.
Most of the cleanse or detoxification of the body occurs between midnight and 12 noon.
Alright.
So
That's
any human being, like, it pretty much follows gravity, the moon cycles, whatever, but most of your cleansing is going to happen then. So that's why you should train yourself to pretty much, if you go to the bathroom in the morning, then
mhm.
that's where you eliminate, that's
Yeah.
where you don't try to do that or hold on to it. Like my grandmother was telling me one time before she crossed over, she's like, oh well, I had like some sort of bladder infection, and I'm like, why? And she said, because I went to my doctor, and apparently she wouldn't like pee all the pee out like
Oh,
during the time she went to the bathroom, and she would hold on to some of it, and I said, why in the hell would you do that?
that's funny.
And the thing is that people do that because they're so afraid of losing control,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So you find yourself in situations where, you if you can control that at nighttime, you
Mhm.
know, then it's fine. It's normal to pee once or twice, depending upon what you're eating. I
Right.
studied nutrition for 10 years, so I basically know what foods
Mhm.
will cause, much more elimination of water,
Right.
and they will actually help that process, and what foods won't, and what foods hold on to water and moisture.
Mm,
So, you know, I I notice that the times I pee more during the night, like I have to do it twice, is because I've eaten something like salmon or something that is causing, it's sort of a diuretic of
right.
sorts.
Mhm.
So there's that knowledge, but the reason I drink my water at night is because my dreams are so clear. And here's how I have some clients that say, "Oh, well, I dream, but I never remember what my dream is."
Mhm.
You know, and I'm thinking to myself, why why would you like say that? Because first of all, if you're not dreaming, you're dead and you're on the other side. Okay, so you are dreaming, you just have consciously blocked it out.
Mhm.
And it's because you don't want to look at something, because you're afraid to look at something, because You don't want to look at something that might be out of your control and the unknown.
Mhm.
So I noticed that when I don't tell myself to dream something. Usually it happens in the morning right before I have to wake up. That's when I remember most of my dreams. And I allow myself to let that come in and I dream whatever it is. And I don't try to control the aspects of the dream where I'm the director and I'm directing, what each character in my dream is doing. I don't get involved in that. I'm just there as an observer. Okay.
Mhm.
And I've noticed that some of my prophecies that I've received about future events on the timeline happen right before I wake up.
Mm.
And then here's the important part.
Mhm.
When I get up, there's a confirmation of some sort of sign, something happens, and I see it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the same as my dream. So therefore, it is connecting with my my conscious self then,
Mhm.
conscious timeline. So as far as like,
That's
people say
interesting.
they don't, yeah, they don't
Mhm.
dream. That's first of all, you are dreaming. You're just so frightened of seeing what it is you're dreaming that you
Mhm.
block it out.
Wow.
And maybe it's against your beliefs. Maybe it's against everything you know to be true, and you just can't look at it. So I've trained myself to look at things whether I agree with it or not. And I look at it and I allow it to come in during my sleep because that's where I don't really process what it is. I just let it all come in.
Mm.
And the processing happens when I wake up. So that's where a lot of people make their mistake. They say keep a dream journal, and you should do that and make it pure by not trying to analyze the dream before you log it. Log the details of the dream, set it and forget it. Come
Mhm.
back to it later when you're awake, where you're conscious, you've had your coffee, you're alert, and then look at it and all of a sudden the answer or the solution to that problem is going to present itself. Sometimes the dreams are about you have to go through a process of trial and error.
Mm.
This is important because trial and error is where you dream about something and there's different parts of the dream that change and you dream it multiple times. And I've noticed that even when I'm doing this for other people and I'm trying to analyze psychically what's going on in the dream, it changes aspects. Like one aspect of the dream will change. It'll be the same dream every time, but one aspect of the dream will change. And that tells me what the progress is. It tells me if they're holding on to the fear or they're releasing it and they're just allowing it to continue. People think that things that happen in dreams, like, oh, if I dream I die in a dream, then I will die. That's not true at all. It just means that, sometimes I've dreamt of death in dreams. I've never dreamt of my actual death in this lifetime, but I've seen my death in other lifetimes. And I've seen how I navigate that and how I respond to that. And it's interesting in a future lifetime, I've dreamt of myself dying in a future lifetime. I was actually some sort of like I wasn't a shaman. I was a woman, but I was in a white robe, and all of the all of the wise ones, the elders, were dressed in the white robes, and I was in in an area of the world, either this world or another one. It seemed like this world, but it was more like Chile or somewhere in South America, where all of the rock and the mountain was red. Like it was just red stone or red, clay. And I was walking in the dream, and it was time for me to choose that I would cycle off and I would come back someday. And I got to choose like which method I wanted for, cycling off. So I chose, and this was common during that time for some reason, to have an injection. I had an injection um, in my neck, and it was some sort of an injection that caused my skin. It felt like hot, like the temperature was so hot when it entered my bloodstream. But I just remembered I went to sleep and I jumped out of my body before the body took its last breath. And I remembered exactly how all that felt. And I was supposed to log that and remember that's how it feels. And I remembered everybody gathering around me once I did cross over, and I didn't feel it at all. I got to choose how I was going to die. So this injection, you know, put me to sleep, but it was very hot. I remember I was like the injection site was super hot, like 150 degrees hot. And I just remembered that. And I remembered going through this. Um, I just looked at everyone, and then I consciously took myself out of my body, and I was looking at my body while they were dressing my body after I took my last breath. I never even felt my last breath, but I remembered exactly how it felt to do that. And I left them with all of the wisdom and all of the journals that were kept, and all of the anything we had collected for them to continue the work. And I remembered this was happening. I remembered we all did a procession right before on this same day. We did a procession around this mountain on this path, and it was all red clay and red mountains. And I remembered wearing this white robe, going, why is my white robe not getting red clay on it? Because I thought, what an odd color to wear in this environment. So I just remembered all this was happening. I remembered rising above my body. I never felt my last breath. And then I was monitoring them and their progress when I crossed over. This all happened in the same dream, and it was so vivid. And I remembered it because it was just so odd. It was different from this lifetime. It was just so odd. Um, but people are afraid to dream if they die in a dream. Well, I died in that dream, but I wasn't afraid. It actually made me more comfortable with the idea of this is what it feels like, so don't worry. You'll jump out of your body because as a soul, I had jumped out of my body before. And I jumped out before the last breath, so I never felt it. There are some people that come into the lifetime, though, to feel physical death because, they're coming in to actually experience that. So they have to feel, whatever the method of death was, and they have to feel all the pain in the physical body that accompanies that type of death. That is something they signed on for, and they want to come in to experience the physicality of death. So there are different things that happen in dreams to help you during the day for other stuff you're dealing with, other fears you have, the healing of the body. if it's in disarray somehow or imbalance. It will help you to notice certain aspects of the dream. And in your dream, Michelle, when you were talking before about your teeth falling out in the dream,
Yeah. Mhm.
in the middle of a conversation with someone,
Mhm.
um, that's very indicative of you didn't feel you had a voice and your teeth fell out and you you had no um, you had no control
Mhm.
over the impact of your statements because your teeth couldn't articulate and help you form words so that you could communicate in a way that they could hear you.
That's very true. I think I was a lot I felt a lot of stress at that time, at those times when I was having those dreams.
And
Makes
can you
sense.
share what
Mhm.
stress was so we can teach others like what that was?
Well, my first marriage, my husband was an alcoholic
Okay.
and I had no control. It was very stressful.
And was there other abuse other than just telling you to silence yourself and don't speak?
No, it's just emotional of
So,
I
so
had no
you felt like
control. Mhm.
if you spoke, you felt like if you spoke that that would end the marriage.
Mhm. Yep.
And then it finally ended and
Mm.
it wasn't as scary as you thought it was. So what changed in the dream when it stopped? When you stopped dreaming about your teeth falling out?
I got divorced.
How long after how long after that?
Well, it I was married 24 years, so it took me that long. Um,
So
yeah.
so when was the last time that you can recall that you had the dream about your teeth falling out?
Oh,
Right
that
before
that had to be, at least, geez, 20 years ago.
that? Okay.
Mhm.
And do you remember like right after that is when the divorce happened?
Um, I can't remember the actual timing of it, but it didn't happen any longer, once I got divorced, it didn't happen any longer. I think that was
So you
causing
did,
it.
so that dream was gone.
Mhm. Totally gone.
Very interesting.
Mhm.
Uh, that sort of goes along with what I was thinking that, a lot of times, it's not just psychological, it's helping you heal or helping you gain some sort of strength.
Mhm.
Usually teeth falling out is if you have no teeth, you can't articulate
Right.
when you speak. So, did he belittle you in a way when you did speak and you did express your opinion where your opinion didn't matter?
It wasn't belittling, it was more of, "I promise I won't do it again, I won't do it again, I won't do it again," and I just kept getting let down and let down. It's like going in through one ear and out the other, like I wasn't being heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that that's pretty much explains your dream then,
Mhm.
because your teeth falling out, you can't articulate what's really going on inside of you. And it's not you chastising him because of his weakness to not, you know,
Mm.
address the drinking or whatever. I
Mhm.
mean, he had other issues that were, that was causing the drinking,
Right.
and those you had no control over. Those issues were happening before he even met you. I get that that was happening when he was a child.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Mhm.
and I don't even remember reading with you about this, but I see that he was young. He looked like he was about 9 years old or so, and it looks like he had some trauma there that he never ever dealt with. So he just buried it. He buried it, and the drinking helped to numb him.
Mhm.
Does that make sense with anything that you knew about him?
Oh, yes, definitely. Yes.
And can you share?
Sure.
Right.
Um, his
Yeah.
his mother was an alcoholic, she was a falling down drunk alcoholic, and his one of his sisters died because of him being left with the baby to watch. The mother was
Oh, gee.
drunk, and the baby
And how
died.
old was he? How
He
old was he at
he
that
was
time?
young. He was young, under 10 years of age. Hmm.
Interesting, because I see it's around the age of 9 or so.
Hmm.
Uh, and I just see that he was taught to, this is how you cover up, and this is how you deal with things. You drink and then it's okay.
Yeah, that was a
Nobody's
family
going
of
to blame you.
alcoholics. Hmm.
Yeah. So sometimes it's about a physical thing, but most of the times when you are going through a lesson like that, a life lesson,
Hmm.
uh, your dreams will very much indicate what's coming forward. Now, when you dream, what is a remembered dream now when you dream?
Um, I know I dream a lot of like as soon as I fall asleep, I'm like jumping in the bed because I'm tripping over the sidewalk. It's weird.
Okay. No, no, it's not weird because, like, nothing in a dream is ever weird to me because sometimes I see things that make absolutely no sense.
Hmm.
But, um, tripping over a sidewalk, so, like, the sidewalk is kind of buckled up,
Yeah, it's just
like,
like you're taking a step and all of a sudden you're like you jump in your sleep. It's like, oh, I tripped or I stepped
okay,
down or something.
is it
Weird.
always on a sidewalk or sometimes it's on a road or just always on a sidewalk?
I think it's mostly on. I'm assuming it's on a sidewalk. It's not like I see the sidewalk. It's just like my head is telling me, "Oh, you tripped," and you feel yourself like actually moving, like if you tripped, like you were walking, you tripped.
And then you jump in bed and you
Yeah.
have, like, a physical reaction to it.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Um, Part of that, like, when I analyze that and we look at that, it looks like there's a decision to be made, and it looks like a business decision,
Hmm.
and that the reason you're tripping is because you're going faster than your partner is when making this decision.
Mm.
Does that make sense to you?
Um.
You're going faster than he's going, and you are, like, not seeing the obstacles, and he's a little bit more cautious.
Yes.
So
I guess. Yeah.
he's behind you,
Hmm.
and you're tripping because you're not looking at the obstacles that he already sees that are on the path.
Mm.
And he sees them, and you are naively not seeing them. You just think everything's going to be okay.
Wow. You
And
use the word naive, and he always tells me I'm naive. That's weird.
I don't mean that in a bad way,
No,
but
no, I understand, but it's just that same correlation.
I
That's
I
funny.
see him I see him pulling you back going, "Hey, walk with me.
Hmm.
Stop going so far ahead of me.
Wow.
There's a reason we need to go at this pace and not the racehorse pace that you wanna go."
Hmm. That's funny because
That will
I
make
walk fast. I
you
tend to walk fast.
and when you talk to him, like, you guys will have a realization when you tell him what I just told you.
Hmm.
And that's what I'm seeing with it. It's that you go so far ahead of him that, the tripping is, the universe is saying, "Hey, walk with him. There's a reason he's your partner."
Wow. That's that's something.
And it it's you're so afraid to be a partner again because you failed in the past relationship.
Hmm.
So you're looking at yourself going, "Oh, I can do this on my own. I survived this."
Hmm.
And you're so afraid of losing somebody again. Remember, he's there to partner with you and to walk alongside you.
Hmm.
Don't walk ahead of him. He knows some of the things you don't know, and you know some of the things he doesn't know.
Hmm.
So let him teach you.
Yes, that's
Does
interesting. Yeah,
Is
wow.
that like a weird thing?
Yes,
But
it
that's what
is.
I'm seeing.
Mhm,
So when I interpret dreams, they sort of go along that type of, I'll see things as you're talking and telling me about the dream, but I see other things on the periphery
mhm.
with the dream that explain why you're having that dream.
Wow,
So so now when you dream, you won't trip anymore because you're walking with him. He won't let you trip.
wow.
Okay, you need to be crying now. All right, so anyway,
My mouth getting
and
open.
the other thing that I've noticed is when you go, when you when you do go to bed, it doesn't matter what time you go to bed, and it doesn't matter whether you get your quote 8 hours or whatever. It matters if you sleep well enough where you feel rested when you get up, because you can sleep for 12 hours and really be exhausted when you get up in the
Oh, I have
morning.
a hard time
You can
sleeping. I have menopause, so it wakes me up constantly.
Well, and the thing is that you're giving yourself the excuse or you know, the crutch of saying you have menopause, so you're not sleeping. So let's, instead of giving ourselves that
Mhm,
excuse, instead, part of what I've noticed, and maybe take notes on
mhm,
this, when I turn my air conditioning down, and I turn it down one more degree. So now I turn it down to 72 degrees in
mhm.
here, and I sleep much better. It was just like a 1 degree difference, but I noticed that the cooler it was, the better I slept,
Yes, I do notice that
and
as well. Mhm,
the deeper I slept. So it didn't used to be that way. I used to be able to sleep at a higher temperature, but now I notice that I have deeper dreams when I sleep when it's cooler.
mhm,
Okay, so adjust your thermostat. Um, I sleep with a body pillow, and that helps me with alignment with my hips and my
mhm.
shoulders, and I never have pain. So I have one of those body pillows you get at Bed Bath and Beyond or whatever. I get one of those, and it's got a nice little pillowcase on it, very clean.
Mhm,
Uh, but I noticed that that actually helps a lot. Um, and I also noticed that when I not only turn down the thermostat and I drink my water before I go to bed, that you don't sit and think about, like, oh, I have to do this when I get up in the morning, and like sit there and talk yourself through your list of things that you have to do. I'm just like, I don't care how many readings I'm going to have when I wake up. Like, stop thinking about it, and just deal with the day when you wake up, and stop going through your list of things, your list of things that you have to do in the morning, or things that aren't working out and you have to have a solution to. Let your dreams create the solution for you and show you what the solution is. And earlier, I talked about trial and error.
mhm. That made sense. Mhm,
This is where sometimes you have a problem, a conundrum, and you can't figure out what to do with it. And instead of trying to hold on to it so tightly, like, and oh, I have to figure that out right now because I just have to, and you just won't let it go. Um, Realize that it can be fluid and that you can have different solutions to that same problem. And the solution that will ultimately be your choice and the best choice for you will be the one where you worked out all the other ones in your sleep.
right.
And you're like, oh, okay, that's why I can't choose door number one.
Mhm,
Okay, door number two has this problem if I choose that one. Door number three has, it's pretty much perfect except for this one thing. And door number four, it's got problems, but it's the one that makes the most sense with my life today the way it is right now.
I'm gonna have to pay more attention to my dreams.
And,
Wow.
and the reason that you that's why, whether all right, so let's say that you wear contact lenses like I do, and you know, you don't have a pen and paper by your bed. I get up and I actually email myself what the dream was. So I get up, I log on, and I actually email myself like in a notepad. I'll just mark down the details of the dream.
Mhm.
And some people have a recorder, like a recording
Right.
device, like a little tape recorder, and they record it, or they record it on their phone and they have it right by the bed. So, the thing is that you just want to get the details down. You'll put it in sentence form later,
Mhm.
but you just want to be able to get the details of the dream down because you won't stop trying to make sense of it right when you dream.
Right.
That in itself has caused the most frustration with most of my clients when they're trying to figure out why the hell am I dreaming this and what's going on there. Now, if you have if you have a profession like mine where you're a gifted psychic medium and you end up being known for it, when I was young, I had dreams of this is how I kind of figured out and where my parents kind of figured out that okay, well she seems to be different from her other children. So I was dreaming of accidents in my family, and different family members died in the dream. And what was funny, not funny, but ironic about the dream was, when I first dreamt it, I I remembered my one brother. He died on a hilltop and he was shot, and I was like, all right, well, what's that about? But he was high up on a hill, and he was shot, and he died in the dream. Well, about a year later, he was in a very tragic car accident where he was coming back from a ski trip in the Poconos, and he came around the bend at 90 miles an hour, drinking and driving. And he was driving a Mercury Capri because we all had brand new Mercury Capris because my dad was had a car dealership as a side business. Um, so we all had brand new cars with dealer plates, and he went over the side of the mountain. He had a friend with him. They were coming back from the ski trip. They hit a patch of ice, and his head hit a rock. They were both ejected out the moonroof. Thank God there was a moonroof, or their necks would have
Oh my
snapped.
goodness.
The car bent in half into a V, and the moonroof was ejected, and they were thrown out of the vehicle. And he hit his head on a rock. And I remembered when this happened because I was in college at Carnegie Mellon. So I remembered, getting the phone call, and he was in a coma for 3 weeks.
Wow.
This was 1 year after I had dreamt this dream that he died on the top of this hill and he was shot. In the dream, it
Mhm.
didn't make any sense. I'm like, why are you being shot? And, projectile vomiting. It was like, apparently he was almost possessed. Every four-letter word he was screaming at my parents, and then green vomit was coming. I mean, he was definitely Reagan
Oh my
in
goodness.
The Exorcist. It was like this weird thing, right? So, um, and it was, a miracle he even lived. So, okay, he lived, but he was near death. So he had a near death experience. So then I had another dream right after that. Like, I don't know, it was like maybe a couple months after. And I dreamt that my sister, um, my younger sister, she she died in the dream of something weird. Like, I always know it's going to be like these weird details. She died of canned peaches. She ate canned peaches. And I'm like, nobody dies from canned peaches. But in the dream, that's what happened. And she was wearing this white nightgown. And okay, so I dreamt this and I dreamt she died. And um, so I'm telling my best friend at the time, we were in our swimming pool. It was during the summer. And I said, I had the weirdest dream. I dreamt she died. My sister came out and said something to us. And I said, oh my God, I dreamt she died last night. And my best friend said, I dreamt she died too, a little girl, but I didn't know who it was. So, this is my best friend who I talk to every day. So I thought, okay. And then I told her the details of my dream. And I said, it was so weird. She died of canned peaches. And okay, so we just thought it was a weird dream. Right after my brother's accident, then my mother and my sister, who died in the accident, they were coming back again from that same area. They hit a patch of ice and their four-wheel drive Jeep drove off an incline and was upside down on a tree branch for 45 minutes. My sister would have been decapitated if she wasn't wearing her seatbelt. They were hanging there for 45 minutes until the EMTs arrived. So here's the weird part. My grandmother was canning peaches, and that's where they were coming from. So
Wow.
I'm not lying. She was canning peaches in the mason jars. Okay, she was
So that's where the
canning.
peaches came from.
Yeah, she was canning
Wow.
peaches, and I think my mother even had some with her in the car when they were driving. To take back home.
Wow.
And my sister would have been the one who would have died if she wasn't wearing a seatbelt at that particular time because they were upside down
Wow.
and they had to climb down and get them out of the vehicle. Um, so stuff like that would happen where I would dream these weird odd details, but see, the weird odd details was why I remembered the dream. And people dismiss those details when they're dreaming, saying, oh, well, that was just too weird. It was just a weird dream. I ate something that didn't agree with me or whatever. And that's why I had the dream. No, no, no. The weird detail I dreamt actually was a component of the dream.
Mhm.
Just like when your teeth were falling out,
Yep.
that was a component of that dream. So all I'm saying is that mine ended up being, more of a prophecy type of thing where stuff near death events happened right after I dreamt them.
Mhm.
And the only reason we know that is because I made my mother write it down on a piece of paper. I said, I dreamt this, write it down. And she said, why? And I said, just do it.
Wow.
And she didn't know why I was telling her to write it down. And then of course they acted like I was like this weird odd child after that. But I so, and I can tell the difference between just regular dreams or dreams that actually are, like a prophecy of something to come. Like I can tell the difference because my reaction to it when I dream it.
Mhm.
I can tell that I am the person to deliver that information, or I am the person to experience that information. When I am to deliver the information, it's a prophecy. When I am to live through a life event, it's where it's just a regular dream. And it's meant
Mhm.
for me so that I can facilitate like a decision I have to make coming up, or, other things happening in my life. So that's how I'm able to discern the difference. So I get up and I email myself the details of the dreams.
Wow.
So, some people just take your phone and press record and just say whatever it is, whisper it into the phone, or text yourself.
Well, I usually turn my phone off at night. I have to get up to go to work in the morning, so I'll try to remember what I can and write it down
Well,
as soon
yeah,
as I get
like,
up.
yeah,
Yeah.
as soon as you get up, you know, take your phone into the other room and just say the things into the phone
Right.
that I
Mhm.
was, and then put it in sentence form later. Because a lot of times the reason for those details is to help you with something during the day when you're
Right.
conscious and you are awake.
Mhm.
Um,
Now I can't wait to dream.
oh
Now
my
you
God.
got me all
Yeah,
excited.
I know everybody's going out buying mattresses now. Um, so I need to know if anybody else wants to examine their dream and get an idea of how to decipher the code of what that dream means. You know, if you have a dream that is kind of weird, just send me a request to speak and I'll put you on. But, a lot of times the reason I'm telling these personal stories is because at the time I had no idea what it meant, but I knew that I had to tell my mother to write it down. And she thought I was an extremely odd child. And I said, I don't care, just write it down. Um, I really didn't care. I really didn't care what they thought of me. I was just like doing my own thing. So, no matter what they said to me, I still went on my own path and I still did my own trajectory the way I saw that I needed to do it. That was one good thing about me, was that I never broke that path. I stayed on that path.
Well, thank you, Carla, for that information.
Yeah, you're
Very
welcome.
interesting.
People think that dreaming is just about, oh, you go to sleep and it's your body's way of, just resting or whatever. And people don't understand that, you spend half of your life or more dreaming, half of your life sleeping, and the information, the data that comes through from the universe, that flows through, it's like you don't understand what a wealth of information that is. That there's like you know, a whole world, a whole universe of information you haven't tapped into yet. So when people, I have clients telling me, I have one client that she was telling me that not too long ago, and she said, "Oh, well, I never remember my dreams. I just go to bed and there's nothing." And it's like, oh, there's something, you just don't want to look at it. And if you just consciously tell yourself, look, it doesn't matter what comes through, I'm going to mark it down and I'm going to use it. And as long as you say that to yourself, then it's not so scary and it's okay. If you're suffering from some sort of PTSD and you're going through moments of, you know, uh, God forbid you could have died in a certain situation, or there were other things that happened that were pretty traumatic that put you in that place. The idea of the dream is so that you could see the gems of knowledge that came through that actually made that worthwhile, you know, and you survived it. The important thing is you survived it. So the psychological trauma that came with it, that's on you if you don't want to decipher that what that is. But there's a whole world of code. There's a coding that happens with the dream state. If you can tune into it, that that will decode a lot of, and make problem solving actually fun. So a lot of times I'll go to bed and I have no idea who I'm going to read the next day or what kind of situations are going to come up, and I kind of like it that way. And when I dream something, I'm like, oh, I'm going to talk to that person that I haven't read in like a year. Sure enough, I wake up and there's the email where they're requesting a reading. And so I've come to the point where I'm not afraid of my dreams. I just, I've dreamt of murders. I've dreamt of um, being in a crime scene where a murder took place, and the murderer is chasing me because I know too much. So that's kind of a problem with what I do for a living. So, um, they I had a dream. I remembered I was going through this, it looked like a pueblo kind of thing, and I'm like running through this building, and I'm running to each of the rooms, and I can feel that I have to hide in every room because they know where I'm running to. And I just remembered thinking, why did I dream that? And it's to prepare me for the work I do, you know, that even if I see certain aspects of a crime or a murder that I have seen psychically, that I shouldn't be afraid of it just because I see it, because I have angels that have all their wings around me protecting me from that stuff. And I make it so because I ask them to. I ask them to protect me. Well, I'm working on some pretty dangerous stuff, where I've had death threats and whatnot because of the type of work that I do. And, when I'm working on missing person cases or I'm working on murder cases, um, you know, I'll I'll have that happen. But that's why when I post during the day on social media, that's why, you think, well, it doesn't seem to really affect me. It's because I know that I'm being protected. I don't take it for granted. I am appreciative every single day, and I make sure that I thank the universe and all of my angels. I thank them every single day for just keeping me safe, you know? I've had numerous situations where when I was in Aruba, I was at the hotel, and I remember it was our last day of filming Natalie Holloway, and we were done filming. It was like the afternoon, like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And I decided to take a walk behind the hotel. And we stayed at the same hotel she stayed at. So um, I remembered walking down the beach for like a mile, and I literally ran back because I could feel someone was watching me. And one of my spirit guides, somebody said to me, get the hell back to your room. And I ran. I ran all the way back. And I listen to those things. I listen to voices when they tell me, hey, this isn't safe. Get the hell out of here. I listen. And the most important part is I thank them so many times days after. I make sure I always thank the universe, like, thank you so much for taking care of me. Thank you so much for protecting me so I can continue to do, what I have to do here. So people think that, oh, I'm suffering through something. And they always forget to thank the universe, to thank your angels for being there, for making sure it wasn't worse than it was. So make sure you thank them, guys, because that's an important part of that whole thing. It needs to come full circle. Um, all right, I need to know if there's any more questions about dreams or how they might work, or dreams you've had where, I tried to give a few examples of like stuff that comes up, but usually details in dreams are weird. I mean, they're just weird and offbeat and just disconnected, and you can't imagine how that even applies to your regular life. But sure enough, if you mark it down, those weird details will pop up in sort of as a marker on the timeline. It sort of marks like when that's going to happen. Like when I dreamt of my sister dying of canned peaches, and my grandmother just happened to be canning peaches that weekend in mason jars. And they most likely had them in the car coming back because, they always took some of my grandmother's stuff with them. And that's how it marked the timeline for me. So you can't discount any of these details and just say, oh, well, that was just too weird and I'm not going to remember that. And what a weird dream. And that must have been something I ate. No, that's not something you ate. It was just basically, a weirdness that happened in the dream that you need to notate. It makes you remember the dream more. Trust me, this stuff helps you in your daily life. When you wake up, you get up out of bed, it helps you get to the next part of it. Um, all right. Anybody else have any other questions or comments or something about a dream that, because we're talking about dreams today. So, anything that you've always had a question about, you just don't know how to navigate that particular, the dream world, and like, what do I do with it? Like, you spend so much time dreaming and people just throw that away like it's nothing. There is such a wealth of information there. I can't even tell you. I always mark my dreams, always, because there's stuff that has happened that I have narrowly escaped, and it's because I dreamt about it. So I want to teach you guys how to do that. It's like your little handbook of how to get through certain things during the day, and it helps you get through a lot of the life agreements that you signed on for. So anyway, if nobody has any other questions, I'm going to sign off on this one. But I just thought that it was time we talked about dreams. The fact that, it is important. It's important, and it's like one of those little treasures that you forgot to look. It's like this treasure chest of all this stuff that you could have been accessing all this time. And there's a way to look at your dreams. So just mark them down, or, you know, just train yourself to, drink water before you go to bed, because that actually made it better for me. That's when I started remembering my dreams on a regular basis. So don't be afraid that you have to get up in the middle of the night and go pee. Whatever. I mean, we're human. Of course you're going to go pee. So don't make that a reason not to. It actually clears my brain. So, it actually helps the mitochondria fire off and do their thing and tell me the messages. So I don't complain about that. God, so many women I talk to that I read complain about getting up in the middle of the night and my God, just stop. So it's something where you guys haven't tapped into the wealth of dreamscapes. I mean, honestly, it's there, and there's so much information there for you, and you forgot to check it. It's like emails you forgot to open that went to your spam folder or something. You forgot to open those. And that's what the dreamscapes are. They're emails in your spam folder that you forgot to look at. Anyway, so I'm just giving you guys a hint that this is like a whole new vista that you can go into, a whole new venture. You can start remembering your dreams. And once you train yourself to do it a few times, it just becomes a regular habit then. Like, I don't think of it as a chore anymore. I just remember certain aspects of it. Usually it's when I'm washing my hands in the morning or something. And then immediately, as soon as I'm done washing my hands, I'll go to the computer and I'll send myself an email with the details. So, however it works best for you. If you need to do it on a pen and paper, or you need to just say it into your phone, just record it into your phone, the various details, and then you'll make it into sentences later for your journal, And buy yourself a pretty journal. I see some pretty ones out there. Like, some of my clients have the best looking journals. They're so pretty. Um, just beautiful, like handmade journals where they write their dreams. Ah, they're so nice. Like, some people give them as gifts. Anyway, it's a new thing for you guys to consider. But it is a wealth of information and it could help you with a lot of the problems that you go through every single day. So, anyway, if anybody has any additional questions, this is the last call. Otherwise, I'm going to sign off and talk to you guys next time. But this will be up on all the platforms, including YouTube, where a lot of people, I don't know why it took me so long to get on YouTube, but anyway, it's going to be up there within the hour. You guys can check it out, and we will talk next time. And thanks for coming by and just telling me your stories, because that helps me teach you guys about the various things we're talking about. I think the next time we do a spiritual one, another topic I want to do is astrology, and how that fits into psychic readings for me. Like, different astrological aspects, whether the moon is void of course, or other things with astrology. I view it from the eyes of a psychic, and not, I'm intermediate at best with astrology. I'm not, a master, but I the way I view astrology and the coloring that it gives to certain events that are coming up. And we can talk about your own individual astrology with your sun, your moon, your rising sign. That's all important. So maybe we'll get into some of that on the next one. Anyway, thanks for joining, and we'll talk next time. Good night, everybody.